I mean, granted, anything I've said to you, I would defend on the record. I don't think I've said anything wrong. I don't think I've said anything wrong.
Hi, I'm James O'Keefe with Project VERITAS. Jimmy Carr is an associate producer with CNN's morning show, New Day. Our releases about him and others last week exposed CNN's bias and radical fake news agenda. In a subsequent meeting with Carr, he doubled down about his statements and other anti-Trump comments. I just can't believe the arrogance of these people.
I had a moment of panic because on Sunday night, I met them on a Friday, on Sunday night, this anti-CNN advocacy guy released a bunch of tapes of him. Okay, so the nothing burger thing came from a guy who secretly recorded his conversations with a CNN employee.
Who did that?
Just this right-wing advocate.
Hitler used?
But a guy who hated CNN and was pro-Trump and wanted to expose CNN's lies. And he had met a guy and talked to them about CNN's coverage and recorded it secretly. And released it at...
When was this?
It was on Sunday night, Monday morning. Oh. And it came out, and we were all going, holy shit, how is this guy so stupid? He's talking to everyone and saying X, Y, and Z about CNN. But then I went there and went, well, I talked with a couple of guys at a bar on Friday afternoon, and I said things that we wouldn't normally say. I mean, granted, anything I've said to you, I would defend on the record. I don't think I've said anything wrong. How did you record it? The guy had his phone on in his pocket. But so he was just talking to a guy. No, it was a secret recording. He had his phone voice recording in his pocket, talking to him, talking about, hey, don't you think CNN's coverage is a little ridiculous right now? And this employee said, well, yeah, I think it's over the top, and right now it's kind of bullshit. But I mean, that became the subject of 3 opening monologues on Fox News evening show. And I had the thought of literally...
No wonder I missed it.
I'm not bullshitting you. I literally went, holy shit, I hope those 2 guys that I met weren't trying to fuck with me and record me. I mean, granted, anything I've said to you, I would defend on the record. I don't think I've said anything wrong.
We all recognize he is a clown, that he is hilariously unqualified for this, that he's really bad at this, and that he does not have America's best interests. We recognize it's justified and crazy.
Would it be fair to question the intellect of the American voter?
Oh no, they're stupid as shit. I hate to be this with you.
Sorry,
Kellyanne Conway.
What she look like? Is she the one with
She
the...
looks like she had hit with a shovel. Said she looks like she had hit with a shovel.
Carr also let it slip that he and his coworkers are not exactly fans of their anchor, Chris Cuomo.
I don't have the gravitas, so... I also don't have a brother who's the governor. So.
Yes, Chris Cuomo is Andrew Cuomo's brother, the governor of New York.
Well, that's the gravitas. I've been sat I've lasted, what, an hour and a half listening to you. You're extremely intelligent. You're very well spoken. And I think you're far better presenter than Chris Cuomo, just in how you present the issue. I totally disagree with you. I'm not drunk either.
I cannot technically say anything, but I can simply say that there's a lot of us that spend a lot of time in the newsroom criticizing just the same points.
Just the what?
The same points.
Yeah, I
just can't stand the hell out of it. It's all. It's really dumb.
Chris Cuomo. Yeah.
After our video last week, New Day anchor Allison Camerata sent an email to the panelist who she suspected leaked the new audio of the selectively edited video CNN released. She seemed to be expressing some level of anger about the leak. We believe that Jimmy Carr, John Bonifield, and Van Jones are just telling the truth about what's going on inside CNN newsrooms across the country. It's a toxic culture of anti-Trump bashing, ratings grabbing, and just plain lazy journalism. And in light of today's CNN video blackmail scandal, they'll have to raise their standards if they have any chance of regaining trust with the American people. Balance your journalism, stop reporting fake news, work a little harder, and maybe, just maybe, you'll have a chance to save yourselves.
There's a video circulating now, whether it's accurate or not, I don't know, but I would encourage everybody in this room and frankly everybody across the country to take a look at it. I think if it is accurate, I think it's a disgrace to all of media, to all of journalism. I think that we have gone to a place where If the media can't be trusted to report the news, then that's a dangerous place for America. And I think if that is the place that certain outlets are going, particularly for the purpose of spiking ratings, and if that's coming directly from the top, I think that's even more scary and certainly more disgraceful. And I hope that that's not the direction we're headed. I hope that outlets that have continued to use either unnamed sources, sometimes stories with no sources at all. We've been going on this Russia-Trump hoax for the better part of a year now with no evidence of anything. Things like the success at the VA barely get covered. They may get covered for an hour at a time, but this story gets covered day in, day out. And I think America is frankly looking for something better. They're looking for something more, and I think they deserve something better from our news media.
Car, fake news, this is CNN. Struggling channel hits new low. Howie Carr Wednesday, June 28, 2017. Back when she was Martha Bradley of CH5, Martha Raddatz of ABC News used to remind me and Andy Hiller, we are not reporters, we are TV reporters. We are not in news, we are in TV news. True enough. And now, all these years later, it appears that in addition to news and TV news, there is now a third category, CNN News. Or, as the president would say, very fake news. Could they sink any lower? And now, after being busted on one bogus story after another these last few months, a senior producer has been caught on tape admitting that the whole Russian collusion story is, as he put it, BS, a witch hunt. The producer, John Bonifield, bragged, the ratings are incredible. Which CNN reinforced yesterday by tweeting back at the president, CNN just posted its, sick, most watched second quarter in history. Up to a point, as Joe Concha of TheHill.com told me yesterday. They're up, but they're still a very distant third in a three-way race. It's Russia, but they still can't get 1 million viewers in prime time. Their ratings are right there in Megyn Kelly territory. The web outfit that recorded the unfortunate CNN producer calls his employer American Pravda, which is really not fair to Pravda. Pravda never had a run of fake news like CNN. How do you know when CNN is running fake news? By the number of bylines. Take the most recent retracted Russian collusion story, shot down by a Ruski outlet called Sputnik News. You can't make this stuff up, unless of course you're CNN. They fired the 3 pipe artists who concocted it. One source, 3 reporters. That fake news about how ex-FBI Director James Comey was going to refute Trump on the issue of being told 3 different times he was not under investigation. 3 reporters to come up with another completely fake story. As the slogan says, this is CNN. The compounding problem for CNN is that most of their talent is below average. It takes brains to put across a lie convincingly. Consider anchor Cupcake Brooke Baldwin. She recently announced on air that Congress has term limits. Then there's Chris Cuomo, puffing up his chest about the dodgy dossier, assuring his dozens of morning viewers. Remember, it's illegal to possess these stolen documents. It's different for the media. So everything you learn about this, you're learning from us. Now that CNN has been shamed into firing the 3 frauds who concocted last week's fake collusion news, the end must be near for the busted producer, Bonifield. I knew he was doomed when I saw the cup Bonifield was holding in the Project Veritas video. It was from Chick-fil-A. In the PC Uber als orthodoxy of very fake news, that is truly verboten. Making up fake news will get you a promotion at CNN. Get caught eating at Chick-fil-A and you're fired unless you can convince Jake Tapper and Wolf Blitzer that Donald Trump and Vladimir Putin made you do it. By Howie's new book, Kennedy Babylon, A Century of Scandal and Depravity, at HowieCarShow.com.
We all recognize he is a clown, that he is hilariously unqualified for this, that he's really bad at this, and that he does not have America's best interests. We recognize it's justified and crazy.
Would it be fair to question the intellect of the American voter?
Oh no, they're stupid as shit. I hate to be this with you.
This is James O'Keefe. How are you? Do you have a comment, sir, about the Russia story?
Then why CNN constantly like Russia this, Russia that? Because it's ratings.
I would encourage everybody in this room and frankly everybody across the country to take a look at it.
The Russia thing is just a big nothing burger.
I'm changing it from fake news though.
Doesn't that undermine?
Very fake news.
I know, but aren't you?
He doesn't believe anything that these people believe. We recognize it's justified and crazy.
Mr. Zucker, this is James O'Keefe. How are you? Do you have a comment, sir, about the Russia story? Fake news. We continue our American Pravda investigations inside America's mainstream media with part 3 on CNN. I'd like you to meet Jimmy Carr. He's a producer for CNN's morning show, New Day. His unvarnished and hate-filled opinion of President Trump gives us some insight into how people at CNN really think.
CNN, it's an impartial, right? Do they? What's the view of Trump in like the kind of media circle, basically?
On the inside, we all recognize he is a clown, that he is hilariously unqualified for this, that he's really bad at this, and that he does not have America's best interests. We recognize it's justified and crazy. I mean, because look, here's the deal. This is a man who's not actually a Republican. He's not actually a Republican. He just adopted that because that was the party he thought he could win it. He doesn't believe anything that these people believe. The man's on his 3rd wife. I guarantee you he's paid for abortions. He doesn't give a shit about abortion. He doesn't care about gay marriage. He doesn't even really care about the budget.
Right. The
man's upping the budget even though he promised to rein it in.
You mean he'd be pro-gay marriage or anti-gay marriage?
I don't think he gives a shit.
Our critics will say Jimmy Carr only speaks for himself. But he told us in no uncertain terms that almost everyone at CNN agrees with his sentiments.
90% of us are on board with just the fact that he's crazy.
What do you mean? 90% are on board what? With her?
No, I wouldn't say with her, but just acknowledge the fact that he's batshit.
90%
of my direct quote.
Carr doesn't have a very high opinion of CNN's audience either.
Yeah. Would it be fair to question the... I don't want to be rude here. I'll be careful how I put it. You're at least some percentage Irish, Scottish. Would it be fair to question the intellect of the American voter?
Oh no, they're stupid as shit. I hate to be this with you.
His harsh words didn't stop there.
Now, and of course, the thing that pisses the White House off so much, because we actually had that awful woman, Kellyanne Conway, you know, the blonde.
Who's sorry?
Kellyanne Conway.
What's she look like? Is she the one with
She
the...
looks like she got hit with a shovel. Said she looks like she got hit with a shovel.
Carr reiterated what we've heard from other CNN staffers that we filmed. This is John Bonifield from CNN's Atlanta headquarters. Did you get the location this time? Paul Farri of the Washington Post?
Then why CNN constantly like Russia this, Russia that?
Because it's ratings.
Because it's ratings?
Our ratings are incredible right now. And he goes, just to give you some context, President Trump pulled out of the climate accords, and for a day and a half we covered the climate accords, and the CEO of CNN said in our internal meeting, he said, good job everybody covering the climate accords, but we're done with it, let's get back to Russia.
Carr reaffirms that it's CNN's brass that wants the Russia story because it's good for the ratings. Money.
It's decisions made by people higher than me, and if they go, wow, your ratings are soaring right now, keep up what you're doing. Well, what we're doing is Russia, ISIS, London terror, shooting in Chicago. That's it.
Carr says it's ratings, and CNN host and political commentator Van Jones says the Russia story is fake news.
The Russia thing is just a big nothing burger.
Really? Yeah. You don't think that...
Nothing there you can do to get a break.
It now seems pretty clear that CNN's bias and dishonesty is a plague in the once respected news organization.
This is New Day with Chris Cuomo and Allison Camerata.
Jimmy Carr works for New Day, CNN's morning show, It's hosted by Alisyn Camerota and Chris Cuomo, who once said our methods can be quite effective.
James O'Keefe is definitely someone who's identified with the right, but Eric Garner's daughter isn't, and she's the one who said that Al is all about the money.
She was caught on tape not knowing she was being videotaped, so she wouldn't have said that.
Sometimes that's when you're the most honest.
Well, there you go.
Funny enough, we found further evidence of CNN's culture of malpractice and deception on New Day itself. On March 30th, Carr's show aired what looked to be a pretty routine political story featuring Camerota and a panel of 6 Trump voters.
So here we are, 60-plus days into his presidency, and we want to get your grades and your impressions of how President Trump is doing.
The raw audio of the panel interview was leaked to us. It lasted nearly an hour and a half, cut down to only 8 minutes when it aired. What's striking is not what Carr and his fellow producers chose to include, but what they chose to omit. It's called selective editing. Let's look at this portion, when panelist William Baer is discussing the president's claim of voter fraud.
And we don't know how, as far as the votes and fraud and everything else. I mean, my assumption is that he probably would have gotten elected by a higher number than what the results actually showed.
But are you saying that you believe that there were 3 to 5 million illegals who voted?
Oh, well, I know that in New Hampshire. I've seen it. I've seen busloads of people.
Again, I mean, this is what we keep coming back to. When you say you've seen it, do you mean a dozen? Or do you mean 3 million? There's a difference.
Well, obviously, there's only 1.5 million people in New Hampshire, so I didn't say 3 million people
well,
in New Hampshire.
The number that President Trump said was 3 to 5 million illegals in California.
I don't doubt that.
No, he said in California.
Extrapolating based on what I've seen with my own eyes, busloads of people coming in, whether they're illegal, meaning they came into the country illegally, or they're illegal voters. They came over from Massachusetts into New Hampshire.
Billy, are you sticking with that you've seen busloads or no?
I have seen busloads. I guess I can't cite the busloads that I've seen and where I've seen them and stuff, but on television I've seen it.
Baer is painted as a conspiracy theorist. Look at the on-screen chyron. Quote, Trump voters on his unproven voter fraud claims, unquote. The implication, no evidence of voter fraud whatsoever. When Camerota asks for proof, the panelist has no answer. Or so it seems. Here's the raw audio from immediately after the edit.
I have seen busloads. I guess I can't cite the busloads that I've seen and where I've seen them and stuff, but on television I've seen it. And I mean, has anybody looked into like what James O'Keefe has done when he went undercover to these various polling places? No, he went in. He basically was ready to vote as somebody else. Nobody asked for ID. I was actually a poll watcher in New Jersey, and I saw what was going on there. There were college students voting, and there was basically you use a. That's right. Or you use a provisional ballot, and it's never challenged. They just put it right through. I mean, this is common.
At the moment Baer is about to cite the evidence to support his claim, CNN ends the clip. The piece suggests that Baer did not have a legitimate answer to Camerota's question. In actuality, the answer was cut because it didn't fit their narrative. This is a textbook lie of omission. In the last week, CNN's credibility as a news organization has been put in serious doubt. We wondered what CEO Jeff Zucker would have to say about it.
James O'Keefe, how are you? Do you have a comment, sir, about the Russia story? Okay. That was pretty cowardly there, wasn't it?
Zucker did not wish to talk to me. That's not surprising. His network has been exposed as not merely just biased, but corrupt and deeply dishonest. His leadership must now be in question. In the final analysis, this is about a conflict of visions between a dying legacy mainstream establishment media that seeks to characterize and interpret reality versus an American people that craves unfiltered, raw, real, true information. No more fake news.
This is Mr. Zucker's residence on 3264th Street in New York City. This is James O'Keefe. How are you? Do you have a comment, sir, about the Russia story? Okay. That was pretty cowardly there, wasn't it? That was pretty cowardly. Take a look at that. This guy, he usually comes out at 7 a.m., right? Today he came out at 8 a.m. He's tried to split us out for an hour, tried to split us out, and they got in the way.
You just saw what happened. Cowardly. Completely cowardly. Hi, who are you? Let's go talk. Who are you? You work with him? Huh? You work with Mr. Zucker? Comments, sir, about the Russia story. Okay.
What was that about?
That's
What's
correct.
about that I was watching you guys trying to interview him.
Okay, so you weren't part of his
So I was not part, no.
Have you heard about the CNN tapes?
Yes, I have.
What do you think?
I think at this point here I should have no comment.
You get here at 7 a.m. Every day he leaves the building 7 a.m., 7:05, he has a routine. We stand outside the building, and then the guy comes over right before I walk up. He comes right over, and he says, "Who are you? What are you doing here?" I said, "I have a right to stand here. It's a public sidewalk." And as soon as he comes over, Zucker comes out. So they had planned this method of avoiding our questioning. Honestly, it's pretty cowardly. It really is. But VERITAS does not give up so easily. Stay tuned. We've got another video coming out as soon as we can finish producing it.
Other presidents tried to say nice things about the Russians and other, warm things in their heart and they love, not in the face of an active attack on the country.
Hey, man.
The Russian thing is just a big nothing burger.
Really?
Yeah.
Then why is CNN constantly like Russia this, Russia that?
Because it's ratings.
I would encourage everybody in this room and frankly everybody across the country to take a look at it.
Changing it from fake news, though.
Doesn't that undermine?
Very fake news.
I know, but aren't you? The Russian thing is just a big nothing burger.
Today we continue with our American Pravda investigations inside America's mainstream media with part 2 on CNN. Fake news. The Russia story. You're about to see one of CNN's most prominent left-leaning political commentators in total agreement with President Trump. We think this might be the first time this has ever happened. Maybe it's because he didn't realize he was going to be on television. And as Chris Cuomo has said, sometimes that's when you're the most honest.
Hey, man. We met in Palm Springs a few years back.
Good to see you, man. You good?
Yeah. How you been? What are you doing?
Good.
What do you think's going to happen this week? I mean, with the whole Russia thing.
The Russian thing is just a big nothing burger.
Really?
Yeah.
You don't think that?
There's nothing there you can do. The Russian thing is just a big nothing burger.
Really?
Yeah.
You don't think that?
There's nothing there you can do.
Yesterday, you met supervising producer John Bonifield.
Then why is CNN constantly like Russia this, Russia that?
Because it's ratings.
Because it's ratings?
Our ratings are incredible right now.
But honestly, you think the whole Russia shit is just like bullshit?
Could be bullshit. I mean, it's mostly bullshit right now. Like, we don't have any big giant proof. But
CNN's response, quote, CNN stands by our medical producer John Bonifield. Diversity of personal opinion is what makes CNN strong. We welcome it and embrace it. Unquote. Good, because Bonifield says he was not alone in his cynicism for the news business, and Van Jones agrees with him that the Russia story is bold.
So I love the news business, but
I find it so
I'm
fascinating.
very cynical about it. At the same time, so are most of my colleagues.
Yeah, it's like
I'm not alone.
The Russian thing is just a big nothing burger.
Really?
The organization is reeling. The president is posting headlines about our investigation, and even mainstream media is paying attention. White House spokesperson Sarah Huckabee Sanders has a recommendation to all.
There's a video circulating now, whether it's accurate or not, I don't know, but I would encourage everybody in this room and frankly everybody across the country to take a look at it.
So there you have it. Van Jones admits the Russia story is just a nothing burger. Bonifield says it's all about ratings. The White House is telling everyone to go watch the videos. The media for years has gotten away with manufacturing consent. People are fed up with with the emptiness and the artifice that pervades our media? Well, I'll tell you something. Change is coming, whether CNN likes it or not.
Then why is CNN constantly like Russia this, Russia that?
Because it's ratings.
Because it's ratings?
Our ratings are incredible right now.
But honestly, you think the whole Russia shit is just like bullshit?
Could be bullshit. I mean, it's mostly bullshit right now. Like, we don't have any big giant proof. I just feel like they don't really have it, but they want to keep digging.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think the president is probably right to say, like, look, you are witch hunting me. Like, you have no smoking gun, you have no real proof.
And the CEO of CNN said in our internal meeting, he said, good job everybody covering the climate accords, but we're done with it, let's get back to Russia.
Then why is CNN constantly like Russia this, Russia that?
Because it's ratings.
But honestly, you think the whole Russia shit is just like bullshit?
It's mostly bullshit right now. Like, we don't have any big giant proof.
I'm not going to give you a question.
Can you stay categorical?
You are fake news.
Because of the attack of fake news and attacking our network, I just want to ask you, sir.
I'm changing it from fake news, though.
Doesn't that undermine...
Very fake news.
I know, but aren't you...
Even if Russia was trying to swing an election, we try to swing their elections. We're in our CIA and doing shit all the time.
Fake news. We start our American Pravda investigations inside America's media with Part 1, CNN. Our goal is to expose the real motivations behind the decision-making process at our dominant media corporations. Fake news. One story has monopolized President Trump's time in office like no other, especially on CNN. Russia. In fact, since the inauguration, CNN has mentioned Russia on their air nearly 16,000 times. So we sent our undercover reporters inside CNN to understand why, and to determine if CNN even believes that the story is even real. You're not going to believe what you're about to hear, or maybe you will. I'd like to introduce you to CNN's supervising producer, John Bonifield, in Atlanta.
So you believe like the Russia thing's a little crazy, right?
Even if Russia was trying to swing an election, we try to swing their elections. We're in our CIA and doing shit all the time. Like, we're out there trying to manipulate governments. Like, you win because you know the game and you play it right. She didn't play it right.
Then why is CNN constantly like Russia this, Russia that?
Because it's ratings.
Because it's ratings?
Our ratings are incredible right now.
In the month of May, CNN's ratings were significantly higher than they were the year before. The Russia story and Trump have made CNN millions.
Because of...
So, my boss, I shouldn't say this, my boss a couple days yesterday, we were having a discussion about this dental shoot, and he's like, I just want you to know what we're up against here. And he goes, just to give you some context, President Trump pulled out of the climate accords, and for a day and a half we covered the climate accords, and the CEO of CNN said in our internal meeting, he said, good job everybody covering the climate accords, but we're done with it, let's get back to Russia.
The CEO?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
So even the climate accords, he was like, okay, a day or so, but we're moving back to Russia.
Bonifield says CNN's CEO Jeff Zucker demanded that his news channel get back to the ratings winner that Russia is for CNN. Was that an editorial call or a business call?
So it's, I mean, I understand it's all ratings, right?
Oh, it's a business. It's a business. People are like, the media has like an ethical... But all the nice cutesy little ethics that used to get talked about in journalism school, you're just like, that's adorable. That's adorable. Yeah, this is a business. Especially cable news, you know. Cable news isn't the New York Times, and it's not even like NBC News. It's I mean, NBC News still gets 20 million viewers a night. Cable news is getting 1 million. So, like they gotta do what they gotta do to make their money, I think. And so I love the news business, but
I find it so
I'm
fascinating.
very cynical about it. At the same time, so are most of my colleagues.
Yeah, it's like
I'm not alone.
Bonifield has worked for CNN as a journalist and producer for nearly 15 years. He not only gave us a tour of CNN's main newsroom, he gave us a window into the editorial bias and anti-Trump agenda of the organization.
I think that there are a lot of like liberal CNN viewers who want to see Trump really get scrutinized, and I think if we would have behaved that way with President Obama and scrutinized everything that he was doing with as much scrutiny as we applied to Donald Trump, I think our viewers would have been turned off. I think they would have thought like we were attacking him. But I think our viewers right now, and I'm not saying all of our viewers are like super liberals. I think there's just a lot of them, and
so Trump's good for business, you're saying?
Trump is good for business right now.
But honestly, you think the whole Russia shit is just like bullshit?
Could be bullshit. I mean, it's mostly bullshit right now. Like, we don't have any big giant proof. But then they say, well, there's still an investigation going on, and you're like, yeah, I don't know. If you were finding something, we'd know about it. The way these leaks happen, they'd leak it. It'd leak. If there was something really good, it would leak.
Yeah. It would have leaked before voting, I would say. If anything was good out there, it would have came out already.
Yeah, the leaks keep leaking, and there's so many great leaks, and it's amazing, and I just refuse to believe that if they had something really good like that, that wouldn't leak, because we've been getting all these other leaks. So I just feel like they don't really have it, but they want to keep digging. And so I think the president is probably right to say, like, look, you are witch hunting me. Like, you have no smoking gun, you have no real proof.
No real proof, he says, and that speaks volumes about today's mainstream media. Bonifield says CNN loves the Russia story not because it's true, but because people want it to be true. They're feeding their audience a false narrative in order to get ratings. Their enthusiasm to report false news is getting the better of them. On Saturday, CNN imposed strict internal restrictions on all future Russia stories after they had to delete and retract a story that was poorly sourced. And yesterday, 3 CNN staffers resigned, victims of fake news. So where does that leave us? The American people are fed up with fake news, and the mainstream media they cannot trust. It's corporate greed, market pressures, managers without integrity, newsroom bosses without courage, journalists who don't even leave their desks. The very purpose of journalism is to expose the world for what it is, not to create false political narratives in order to make money. The American people are frustrated because they have nowhere left to go to get actual information. This is just part 1 of the CNN series. We have so much more that we will bring you on video as our American Pravda investigations continue. Every dishonest television network, newspaper, and social media company is now on notice. You're being watched. We're coming after you. And while the whole broken, rotten media machine may not come tumbling down, maybe they'll wake up.
Hey Charlotte County, this is Charlotte County Cop Watch, and I wanted to explain what fair use is. You can use pieces of news articles if you're doing it for news reporting, you have commentary, and you're doing it for education purposes. So that's what fair use is, as you can see right here. Another reason why I wanted to make this video is to let you know I just joined with Patreon. A nice thing with Patreon, I make no money on YouTube. They took the money away years ago, and so this is another way to give, and it's a nice thing too because you can give monthly. You can give $1, $5, $10, whatever. I do 4 to 5 hours a day on trying to wake the sheeple up on how corrupt it is and different ways that you can fight the corruption. So Patreon is a way that you can do it, and then of course the old way is still there. Donate to Sheridan County Cop Watch with PayPal or credit card. So keep that in mind. 4 to 5 hours a day. I make no money, but the corruption happened to me, and I'm sick of it. So I'm trying to wake people up. But my wife would love it if some, if we could get some help out there. There's 47,000 subscribers. Just think if each one of you subscribers just gave a, let's say, actually, yes, $1 a month. 47,000 subscribers gave $1 a month. That would be awesome. That's not going to happen. But anyways, that would be great if it did happen. But, do the math in your head. Just think about it. Like I said, 4 to 5 hours a day. I get no money from YouTube. YouTube has gone nuts. You can't do anything anymore. They're taking the money away everywhere. So these are a couple different ways that you can still help out with all this time that I put in. And as you know, I'm in a special situation where, at least I can do it, 4 to 5 hours a day. We have a cleaning company during the day. That's what allows me to do this, and we're debt-free. So this is my hobby. I don't go fishing and all that other crap. I try to save the world. So help me out to make the wife happy, man. In fact, if you guys did give $1 a day, and there was 47,000 of you, and you did it, and each of you gave $1, and that was every month, oh my God, yes, I could quit. I could start suing them. Another idea too that we have is, if I got, some funds, we could actually contact everyone that has been ticketed and or arrested and put in jail and start sending them postcards to let them know we're here, and to see if everything went all right, and if it didn't, find out their story. So we could even do more investigations and more lawsuits. Lawsuits take money. So just think about that. 47,000 of you so far right now. $1 a day. $1 a month on Patreon, or $5 a month Patreon, 10, 20, whatever. Just do the math in your head. Help out. This is a lot of work every single day. Thanks.